Now we will learn the different data types that can be stored in Python. Let's talk about standard data types. So what are these different data types? We have numbers, we have strings, these are normally the texts, we have lists, we also have what we call tuple, and lastly dictionaries. Okay, so these are the different um, data types. Let's look at first numbers. Now there are different kinds of numbers. For numbers, we do have what we call integers. We have floating numbers. Oops. Floating point real values. These are numbers with decimal points. And we also have the complex numbers. Okay. So let's look at this one by one. So when we say integers, okay, so we have, let's assign some values to a variable. Okay, one is an integer. Okay, y is equal to -1. It's also an integer. Okay, so if I ran this command, you'll see here the type is an integer. If you want to display the data type, you can also use the keyword type. Let's say type x, and then it will display the data type of variable x. Well, for this case, this is int, which means integer. Okay. Now we also have um, floating numbers or real numbers. Let's change this to -1.5. I ran this. Now let's look at that. The data type of x now is a floating number. If I also type x, it's also a floating number. So you can check the data type of a certain variable. Now we can do some operations, right? Let's say x plus y. X is a floating number, y is an integer. If we do that, the output is a floating number. Okay. Okay, so let's say it's exactly 1. So 1 minus 1, or 1 plus -1, it gives us an integer. What if we add a 1.0, the decimal point 0? So 1.0 is a floating number. If you add it to -1, you'll get actually a 0.0. Let's check let's print it out, okay, and see the difference of the output. So when we do this, -1.0 plus -1, we get 0.0. If we have 1 plus -1, we get 0, which is also an integer. Okay, so that's for the floating numbers. Let's talk about complex numbers. In Python, we can specify um, a number or a quantity as a complex number by adding a variable j. Okay, normally in math we use I for the square root of -1. Well, for this one, in Python we use j. So 1j is actually the same as just j. Okay, so if I run this cell, you can see here x now has a type of complex. This is a complex number. Okay, so let's look at it here on the cell, run it, and it's a complex. And if we add, let's say, an integer, the output is also a complex. Okay, let's make y a floating number and then add it to a complex number. The output is also complex. Okay. If this is 1j, What if we make it a negative j, okay, plus 1? Oh, yeah, we have to add a number since we have a negative sign there. And the output is also a negative number. Okay, so we have integers, floating, numbers, and complex numbers for numbers. And then, of course, string, we discussed that for the past videos when we added hello world. It's a string. Okay, and for strings, there are many things that we can actually do. So it's like an array, if you still remember in MATLAB. So if, let's say, I select x of 0, and take note, in Python, indices starts at 0. Okay, it's a character, and the first character is h. Okay, 1, it's an e, 2 is an l, and so on. Okay, so if you want to specify the index, we use this square brackets. Alright, now we can select a group of characters. Let's say we use the colon. The colon will show you everything from the start to the last character. Okay, now but if we, let's say, add here 1 to 2, it will only show you the second character. Okay, take note that we starts with index 0, so index 1 is e. Okay, and the last character, or the last character that should have been displayed is actually 2, but the difference of this indices is just 1. So 2 minus 1 will give us only 1 character. So that's how Python arranged or designed this indices. Okay, let's say 3. Now 3 minus 1 is 2. Now it will output 2 numbers, 2 characters. Okay, if I remove this, then it will show you uh, the second character up to the last. Okay, what if we place -1? What will happen? Well, it will show you the second character from the left up to the second character from the last. Okay. If we remove the +1 there, then it will show you the first character up to the second to the last character. You can also concatenate texts. Okay, let's say we have y is equal to array. Let's add a space there, and then let's add the 2, and then you see hello world array. Okay, so you can easily concatenate text using the plus sign. Unfortunately, you cannot use a subtraction because that is not a operator for strings. Okay, now there are other special functions that you can use in Python. Okay, I mean for strings. Okay, well, by the way, let's try to use asterisk. What will happen if, let's say, x asterisk 2? Well, what will happen? It will repeat the text itself twice. Let's say 3, then it will repeat the text thrice, and so on. Okay, so we can also perform, let's say, we want to split x. Okay, so by default our separator is a space, so it separated the 2 words, okay, using the split function. By using the dot, it means it will take, or it can use all the functions for a string. Okay, when we use the dot, and one of those functions is a split, and inside the parentheses we did not input anything, so the default separator is a space. What if I use O as a separator? As you can see, it separated the hello world into three segments: the hell, the W, and the RLD. Okay. Now for this one, when you use the split function, the output is a different data type, which we will discuss in the next video.